Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So I have so many questions for you, Peggy, and I'm sure we'll try to get through as many as you can. But let me start with, who is Peggy Dulany?
Oh, at core.
Yes.
So I feel as though, in a way, I channel something. And I don't mean literally that I'm channeling from someone else, but I feel as though my life is directed, that I do what I'm supposed to do. But it's not always apparent to me ahead of time what that is.
How do you know?
It's, it comes in the moment. I don't mean that I act in the moment every minute, but it's like as I move through life, I know what the next step ought to be, when the next step needs to be taken.
And it's just a feeling?
Mm-hmm.
It's an instinct.
Yeah, and I've come to trust it.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I think it is having become relatively centered. In other words, that when one gets all the elements inside and outside aligned, then it just, everything becomes clearer.
So it's really fascinating to me that you're that aware, enlightened even.
That may be an exaggeration.
No, I meet a lot of people all the time, and rarely are they centered. So what happened in your life that helped you to become centered?
Well, I think the first part was trauma. So I had a complicated mother, and it was difficult growing up with her. And I, at a certain point, I realized my greatest wound is my greatest gift.
Yeah.
And so the trauma that I experienced with an unpredictable mother led me to be able to empathize with other people.
Amazing.
So that was a first step. And then after that, took a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of spending time in the wilderness, doing a vision quest, meditating, daily yoga practice. And it's continuous. It's a continuous process. But finally, at age 65, I feel pretty grounded and centered.
Wow, and you mentioned something in that list of things that you did, a vision quest. What is that?
Well, it's a practice. The term, I think, comes from Native American practices where people go into the wilderness and fast for a period of time and cry for a vision in Native American practice. The group that I did this with, which is called Animas Valley Institute, has adapted this sort of retreat and reflective practice from many different cultures. So it's an 11-day process, of which you spend 3 days alone, 4 days fasting, and basically letting the wilderness mirror to you what your true soul's purpose in life is.
Interesting. And when you were experiencing the trauma with your mother, was it you or was it in your family?
No, it was all my siblings.
And the process of experiencing the pain, I agree with you. I've had some of my own painful experiences, and sometimes blessings come in all forms.
That's right.
Right.
And I mean, the other side of it is she was an amazing person. So, you know, it wasn't all bad, but it was just emotionally she was not stable.
I'm sensitive to people who say negative things, and the child who doesn't have a barrier can easily internalize those negative things.
That's right.
Did you have some of those?
Yeah.
So you have to try to replay the tape.
That's right.
To say that I am enough, and that I'm good enough, or that I love who I am. And if you don't get that from a loved one saying that you're wonderful and you're special, it's hard for you to get it yourself, because you live what you learn. Yeah.
I think that's right. I also was fortunate enough to have a father who really supported me and to have a very supportive group of siblings. So I wasn't, and my mother loved me in her own way, so I wasn't completely without it. But there were elements that I had to work through to feel the kind of self-esteem that I think it takes to become centered.
Sure. And what is it that your father did specifically that gave you that?
Well, it's a good question because he wasn't there that much because he was building his career and he was away a lot, but he just loved me.
The power of love.
And still does.
That's nice. The power of love.
Yeah.